What's up, CHTV fans? I'm Joseph Randolph,
I'm Brian Maafi.
and this is Packers Draft Room. A pivotal week. It's Combine week, and we're talking offensive linemen, particularly the offensive tackles. This is probably one of the deepest classes that we've probably seen in probably about the last 3 to 5 years, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's really a lot. What do you think about it, Brian?
Yeah, it's a really big, deep group. The only unfortunate thing is a lot of guys kind of are outside of the Packers' size thresholds, but it's still, that would still obviously push other guys down possibly to the Packers. So, I mean, they could potentially get a guy who could start for them, third round, fourth round, potentially.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys, and like you just mentioned, thresholds. We've seen the Packers; they tend to stick to their guns on thresholds for certain players. A lot of these guys are a little bit outside. Doesn't mean they're not interested, but they may be interested a little bit later in the draft. And if you've been following the Packers for any time in the last 6 years, Brian Gutekunst loves his day 3 picks on the offensive line. So if a guy slides, it's outside of the threshold. It might be a surprise pick that we may not have expected. If you could describe this class, what would you say overall, Brian?
It's long, and I don't mean that in a weird way. I mean they're long, like they all have long arms. They all have 34, 35, even a couple guys with 36-inch arms. So they're all just really long offense tackles.
Yeah, it's a big class. It's a long class. It's a very, very deep class. And, a lot of guys are hoping maybe for a first round offensive lineman, but the Packers don't have to necessarily get one in the first round. Maybe not even day 2. Some of these guys, because of the quarterback conundrum, some of these guys are going to slide. We've seen some very, very fast receivers over the last couple of days. That's going to make some guys slide as people try to jump up and get that speed weapon. So don't panic. That's all I can say. Don't panic. The Packers will find some offensive line help to reinforce the trenches, give Jordan Love a little bit more protection, open up the running game. It's coming. It may not be on the first night on Thursday, but over Friday or Saturday, I'm sure somebody that you guys can come and love will hear his name called. So we're just going to get right into it. There's a couple guys that are probably household names at this point, probably out of the side of the Packers range, out of, barring something just catastrophic. But the best lineman in the class is Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Very, very, technically sound guy. He does all the great things right. He plays with good temperament. He plays with good pop. There's some high pad level here and there, but that's stuff you can coach in, really in a single off season, maybe by, the end of training camp. Any words for you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, I think he's he has pretty much the highest upside of the top tackles. He's just a freak athlete, super long dude, really quick feet. I actually disagree a little bit because I think he still needs some technical work. Some technical work that he needs with his feet and his feet placement, the way he turns his feet, and stuff like that. But because he's so athletic, he's able to recover even when he makes a mistake. But yeah, I think that he has the highest upside of the top tackles.
Yeah, probably looking at a possibly a top 5 to top 10 pick for Olu. It really just depends on how those coveted quarterbacks go. We've obviously kept our ear to the streets. There's probably going to be a shuffle in the first maybe 10 to 15 picks, but Olu should definitely be as the first offensive tackle called off the board. A little bit outside, a little too rich for the Packers' blood. Another guy, which probably Packer fans have been following for probably since day 1 of the offseason, is Joe Alt, who's the son of a Pro Bowl offensive lineman and has pretty much been called the most polished prospect in this year's offensive tackle class. Probably maybe the largest wingspan or close to the largest wingspan. Great hands. But again, probably too rich for the Packers blood as far as where we're drafting at 25. Any notes from you, Brian?
Yeah, pretty much. Everything you said is pretty much right. He's got that huge wingspan. He's a former tight end, but like and he's just a junior. But for being a former tight end and just a junior, he's really technically sound, really technically advanced. He's already a good pass blocker. He's already a really good run blocker. And for being 6'7", he has really good leverage and he gets low in his stance. Actually, surprisingly, a lot of times those 6'7" guys have trouble getting low and staying low and getting moving the run game sometimes just because, like I said, they can't, it's leverage, it's genetics, it's all that type of stuff. But he does a really good job of bending his knees, exploding out his hips and all that stuff. So he's the more ready, more complete offensive tackle compared to Olu.
Yep, he's ready. He's plug and play. I think both of them are plug and play. You might see more out of Joe than Olu from day one, but probably again another top 10 guy. I don't really see him sliding maybe past 13th, but he's it. He is it for as far as your day one plug and play starter. Another plug and play starter, probably again too rich for the Packers blood, is Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham. He is a mountain of a man. He moves entire he moves entire defensive linemen. He had a couple mental errors, here and there over the course of the season. Particularly, there was one glaring error in the Michigan game that people are talking about that might have landed Alabama in the national championship otherwise. But that stuff can be coached up. It can be coached up. But again, Latham, really large man, about 6'6", about 340 pounds, a little bit bigger than the Packers tend to go at offensive tackle. You never know, though. There are other teams that also, prefer their offensive tackles or just linemen in general to be a little bit smaller. That could cause Latham to slide a little bit. He did injure himself in that college football semifinal against Michigan. I don't think he's going to be working out too much. So based on when he does finally work out, that'll probably determine where he lies in the pecking order. What do you think of him, Brian?
Yeah, he's a big physical run blocking right tackle type of guy. Like you said, he's like 340. He's pretty much outside the Packers size threshold.
Did we lose?
A downer for yeah, he's probably outside of their size thresholds anyway. But I mean, he'd probably go before the Packers pick anyway.
Yeah, we're getting close. He's depending on how guys like him with his size. He's not the best athlete. He's not a duck, but he's not the best athlete. He has some movement to him. He's probably going to be still a top 15 pick for those power gap teams that are in the NFL. He'll probably hear his name called sooner than later. Yep. Now, at this point, we're getting close. We know Brian likes to move around the board. That's his patented phrase every combine, every offseason. He likes to move around the board. So this next guy, it may be within striking distance for the Packers, and that's Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims. He's probably one of the most athletic tackles in the class. We talk about defensive backs and their ability to catch up, if they make a mistake. And that's Mims as far as the mode of an offensive tackle. Like, even if you beat him initially, he has the athleticism to catch up and just drag you down the field. And that's something that, you don't really see in offensive linemen, overall. So the idea is that, you have a guy that maybe if he's initially beat, he can recover and, keep the play going. And how dangerous, athletic quarterbacks like one that we have at Jordan Love can, be in extending the play. That extra half second, extra full second even can be deadly for a quarterback who's got a receiver open downfield. Doesn't have a lot of starting experience, but again, over and over again, we say it's not about what you did in college; it's the projection. Look no further than Lucas Van Ness, who was essentially a rotational starter, and he went 15th overall. So there is some likability here. He's a little bit bigger, but there is some likability here. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, he's another kind of athletic freak. I mean, his upside is probably close to Olu's, if not possibly higher. He's a huge dude, 6'7", 340 pounds. He got 36 arms, 36-inch arms, sorry. Just real athletic, but just only played right tackle at Georgia, and he only started, I believe, like 12 games in his career. Partially being behind other top tier guys, and then also he had an injury that cost him some time this year. So he's definitely a potential boomer bust player. If someone takes him and throws him in there from day one, he may struggle. He may just never come around, type of thing. Loses confidence in some of that, and just never get there. Or he could end up being a Pro Bowler. There's a huge range of his potential. But even still, he's again another guy that's kind of outside the Packers threshold. So even if I don't think he'll be there at 25 anyway. But even if he was, I don't think they would take him.
Yeah, I don't think he's there at 25. I think his range is probably somewhere between 17 and 21. So if the Packers possibly are interested, maybe it might take that third rounder, depending on the board, for them to move up and grab him. He's probably, outside of the three that we previously named, he's probably the next best of the group. So those initial teams that grab Olu, Joe, and JC, he'll be the next one that people are licking their chops for. So there's a possibility he may be overdrafted, if that makes sense. But he's definitely a first round talent.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be time will tell if the Packers are interested, or they just keep it moving. Now, the next guy, he's probably solidly within their range. May even be more of a guy that might slide to the second. And that is Maryland's Delmar Glaze. Delmar is probably the best swing tackle in this year's draft. He could play tackle. He could play guard. He's kind of in my opinion, he's a what you see is what you get kind of player. And what we see is a very good player, decent hands, decent athleticism, plays with good temperament. He's not top flight, could be top flight with some coaching, a full NFL offseason. But right out the gate, you got a guy who you can put on the offensive line, and he's going to compete. He's gonna be able to hold his own, and again with good coaching, a good couple months in the weight room, this guy could turn into a Pro Bowler. How do you feel, Brian?
Yeah, he's been one of my guys since actually last year, because last year he was actually the right tackle in Maryland, but they rotated him at left tackle at times. I think because they are already planning to move him to left tackle this year, so they're trying to get him experience and snaps out there. And when I was watching Maryland last year, he actually popped out to me, and I was like, "Wait, who's this Glaze guy?" This right tackle. So I watched him some more, and then watched him even playing left tackle. I felt like he was actually better than their left tackle from last year, who got drafted in the day 3 this past year, this past draft. So he's like 6'4", 323. He's got 34-inch arms. He can play left, he can play right tackle. He's really good. He's really smooth, like in his pass sets and his movements, and all that stuff. And he's got good technique, although he can obviously get better. He had a couple bad games last year, where he gave a couple sacks. But other than that, he's been pretty solid in pass pro. Could be better in run blocking, but he's a guy who gives it his all. He plays hard, and he plays through the whistle. And I think he could be a Pro Bowl type player.
What I like most about Delmar is the versatility that you brought up. And this is one of those things, we see for the last 3-4 years of the Matt LaFleur era, he's always trying to find his best 5. and that's what Delmar brings to the table. That versatility is, you know, there's always been rumors, of moving Zach Tom to center, and Delmar, can give you that option. Like, okay, do we want to move Tom to center, and then that shores up because we saw that was that the Pittsburgh game. I think Tom moved to center for like a drive, and I think like AJ Dillon just like went on a tear, and then Myers went back in, and then it was it was the same old story that we were used to the rest of the season. So Delmar could be in play. I think he's probably a second round dude if I had to really put my finger on it.
Yeah, probably.
But it's a question of, do you wait? I think, we're at 41 going into the second round. Do you wait? Do you think he's still going to be there at 41? This could be a possible trade back scenario for the Packers where, we move back from 25 to maybe 33, and maybe we score, a third rounder for that, maybe a third and a fifth. And then, you get him right at the top of the second round. That'd be a great play, in my opinion. But that versatility, and again, the solid floor that Delmar Glaze brings to you right out the gate, he's not going to survive the middle of the second round. So it's going to be sometimes, you got to jump up and get your guy. Packers let's have to jump up at 25, but it may be a strategic move to, be able to secure him on the roster. Yep. All right, moving on down the line. We've got one of our small school prospects, and that's Kieran Amagaje from Yale. Very physical guy. Just possibly the second most athletic tackle in the class. Probably one of the longest arms in the class. I think he's approaching almost 37-inch arms. Yep. And he plays nasty, and that's probably the biggest thing that I love about him. I think across the entire offensive line of the Packers, we got some good guys, some good sturdy guys, but the attitude that Amagaje brings would just be so refreshing to see on the offensive line. I think Sean Ryan is probably close in that aspect, but Amagaje just takes on a whole nother level. And you love to root for the small school guys. So he's probably one of my draft crushes on day 2. If the Packers were to go in a different route, defensive back in the first round, he is solidly within the Packers range, in the second round. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's 6'5", 320. He's got like 36 arms. Yeah, like you said, almost 37-inch arms. But he played at Yale. Obviously not NFL competition or even close. So, and then he got injured, so he couldn't really play in the Senior Bowl. So that was kind of disappointment because people wanted to see him competing against NFL level talent. So that was kind of I think that kind of hurts. I think that hurt his stock a little bit because teams just don't have film of him going against NFL level talent. But he's really super athletic, freak athletic. Like we said, 36 arms. He plays. He's a physical dude. He plays hard. It's just he has a lot of technical work that he needs. You see a lot of technical flaws on his film. So he's a guy that probably a day 2 guy though. But I think if you're gonna be smart with him, you would take him and basically redshirt him as a rookie, and then just as year 2 come in, and then be the starter in year 2.
Yeah, I don't think he's a play immediate guy. Now, I mean, I wouldn't have any qualms, him plugging to injury, or maybe, a guy's a little banged up. He could go, but it'd be better if he maybe took the Sunday off or what have you. I'm all for it. And the technical issues really just come from him just kind of playing a little bit too aggressive, if you ask me. There's when he kind of, calms down the juice a little bit, I think he plays a little bit better. But, I don't want to take that mean streak away from him too much, but just trying to play a little bit more, I don't want to say reserved, but a little bit more within himself. I think that over aggression sometimes make the technical parts of the game kind of drift away a little bit. And yet, but yeah, the injury sucks. I was really looking forward to seeing him at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
The Senior Bowl might have boosted him to first round status, but I mean, given the long arms, the athleticism, uh, this is your traits guy. But he's not a bum. He's not a duck. He can play. So he might be too hot to just let slide. Past maybe for 41st. I don't see him sliding, past maybe 55th overall. He's probably a top 50 player, barring how the combine shakes out. So if we didn't get Delmar, we didn't get Amarius. If I see his name go across the screen, I'll probably run around circles in my apartment because I'm just going to be so excited to see him in the green and gold.
Yep.
We got another small school prospect, and that's Kingsley Suamatea out of BYU. Uh, Obviously, given the name, Samoan, so pretty big dude. Plays with aggression. If you've ever seen Samoans, whether it's offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, you don't have to worry about aggression or playing on fire. That just comes with the territory, and that's what he is. A very physically gifted defender, offensive lineman. Has to work on the technical parts of the game. This is probably his Achilles heel. Sometimes he lets the physical part, how imposing he is. He wants to impose his will on a defender, but sometimes there's the technical part that makes it a little bit easier, and sometimes he makes it harder on himself. I still like him as a prospect. He's probably a little bit bigger than maybe the Packers would prefer, but I'm cool with him if he gets called. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, he's, again, like you said, he's a really athletic dude. Just a 2-year starter. And then in 2022, he was starting at right tackle. This past year, he moved over to left tackle. He played a lot better at right tackle, but he moved to left tackle. He had some struggles. The transition probably was just a bit tough for him or something. He got kind of out of, like you said, he got his technique got sloppy, and he made some technical mistakes. So that's something he has to work on and fix. But he's got the length, he's got the size and stuff like that. But yeah, he's probably still overweight as far as what the Packers like, being 329, unless he comes in at the combine at 320-ish, which we haven't seen yet. But yeah, his upside's there. He can be really good. I think I would put him at right tackle as a rookie, just while he works through his technical issues. And then you can move over to the left side, maybe year 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. He probably was rushed, to left tackle. But sometimes teams got to make a business decision. Like, if you're the best offensive lineman, that's where you're going to play, even if it may not be your best position. And obviously BYU is, typically the underdog, when they're outside of the conference. So a little bit more development, and you could have a really solid guy. Again, probably a little bit too big for the Packers, but I mean, they could cut him down a little bit, and then you got a solid guy. So the next guy, played across from Joe Alt over at Notre Dame, and that's Blake Fisher. A little not as heralded as Joe Alt at Notre Dame, but we have a pretty decent prospect here. We're probably, getting maybe into the later parts of the second round, maybe even the beginning of the third round. Solid dude, but he's a little bit susceptible to, I'd say even just average pass rushers. And then elite pass rushers he's probably going to struggle with. So there's some coaching to do there. I don't want to say he has strength issues, but I think probably a little bit more strength, a little bit more bulk could possibly, add to him, being a little bit better in that regard. But I think as maybe a reserve, tackle, not somebody you want to play immediately, but maybe like a reserve tackle you bring in, to give your starter, a spell off or two. And then, maybe year two, maybe year three, you have a solid tackle prospect. So just this is the part where of the draft where you get like a quality guy, but you don't want to play him right out the gate.
Right.
And Tyler, or rather Blake Fisher is that guy. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a right tackle pretty much this whole time at Notre Dame. Well, not pretty much. He has been a right tackle at Notre Dame. He's been a solid dude. It just, he did have some struggles this past year. He's got good size at 6'6", 312 listed at least. We haven't seen his combine numbers yet. So, I mean, the Packers could look at him. I mean, he's still young. He's a redshirt sophomore. So, I mean, they could take him and maybe see if they can develop him. Maybe even see if he can play left tackle. But yeah, he had some struggles this year. He was kind of inconsistent this year. His run blocking was just kind of okay. It's just, yeah, he's a project really. You're projecting down the line with him. He's probably, I would say, probably an early day 3 guy.
Early day 3? Oh, you're
maybe mid day 3, early mid, 4th, 5th round.
Okay. You're harsher than I am. I was saying the back of day 2, but I can go with early day 3. I can go with early day 3. And you know what? You're right. Him being a redshirt sophomore, I think we have him at 311, 312, and we know how college programs love to embellish their measurements. So it wouldn't surprise me if he came in at 305, 300, and maybe that's just part of him just getting in the NFL weight room, doing the work, and then we have a little bit better prospect. But okay. I can see early day 3. I can see early day 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that far off from late day 2, so it's
not that far off. Let's say comp pick time. I think he's too precious to let sink to day. Well, maybe early, maybe like the first 10 spots of the 4th round. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, I kind of leaked the next guy. That's Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton. Guyton is a converted tight end. So he has athleticism. He can move. He can get to the second level. Decent sized arms. But again, kind of like Blake Fisher before him, despite having athleticism, he kind of struggles with pass rushers, especially a speed rusher. So, I think probably earlier on in the draft process, we were probably, had a little bit more hype on Tyler, probably, back of first round, maybe, early day 2 guy. But after watching the tape, he started to slide a little bit because, you can't just plug in a tackle and then, not be able to handle a speed rusher. So there's going to have to be some coaching going on there. And I think his strength is fine, but a lot of times when we have these converted tight ends, for some reason, there's always a little bit more bulk that needs to be added. So again, maybe 2-3 offensive off seasons later, I think you have a solid prospect. Brian, what would you say?
Yeah, he's somewhat similar to Amarius Mims. He doesn't have a super lot of experience. He transferred to Oklahoma from TCU, I believe it was, and he is only like basically a 1-year starter. He started I believe it was 3 games last year, or 2022, I should say. Started 3 or 4 games in 2022, and they started this year at right tackle, obviously, like I said. But he's a big dude, like you said. He's 6'7", over 34-inch arms. He was 328 the Senior Bowl, but we just saw earlier today that he was at the combine. He was 322, I think it was 323, something like that. So he's within the Packers range as far as his weight. And he should test athletically within the Packers range. Just the only thing is, can he play left tackle? He played a little bit of left tackle in 2022, but it was mostly right tackle. And then, of course, all left tackle, this past year. So it's just, do the Packers want to take the chance or the risk at a guy with not a lot of play time and a guy who kind of had some, some struggles this past year, if they think they can get it worked out on him. if they think he can play left tackle and be a swing tackle type of thing.
Yeah, we're certainly in the range now. We're getting into those day three guys that the Packers love to get. He's gonna have the athleticism that uh, the Packers are looking for just in general. But yeah, my concern is the speed rushing part of it. Uh, maybe a little bit of coaching ability can get that cleaned up. But this is probably a Packers guy just off of the testing alone. So it wouldn't surprise me if we heard his name called for the Packers. Um, as I've said, draft and draft. I may not love it, but I'll respect it.
Yeah,
So
if they take him, I'd understand why, because I would think it would tell me that they probably think he could probably play left tackle.
right. So another guy, kind of towards the back end, is Julian Pearl out of Illinois. Um, and Julian Pearl, I think Julian Pearl's a little bit better than what we give him credit for. Great wingspan, right at I believe 35-inch arms.
Yep.
So that's gonna get him. That's gonna get some notice to him. And I mean, I think he's just a solid dude, And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, we get so caught up in the elite dudes, the guys who do all this great and cool stuff, and then Julian Pearl, he doesn't really shine anywhere. He's a little bit of a clunky mover, but I mean, I'm cool with that. So, you know, a lot of times, especially in the deep, part of the season, getting in the playoffs, it's sometimes less about the X's and the O's, and it's more about the Jimmies and the Joes. And Julian might be a Jimmy if you really paid attention. So he's probably an unheralded guy that's probably going to fall to day three.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I really want to see his testing measurements to see how he goes. But I, as far as day three guys, and we're still early. The combine's still going on. The pro days are coming up. He's probably, if I could pick, he's probably the guy I want being called, day three. And then, he played at Illinois, so I could hold it over the Bears' head that they missed on him. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, he's another dude. He's another long guy, like we said in this class, 35-inch arms, like you said. He is a bit older. He's 24. He'll be actually 25 in October. So he's a bit older guy. So you kind of wonder about the upside with him and how much more growth he's going to have at that age. But he has experience at right tackle, right guard. I think he even has some left tackle experience too. But just he's just been kind of inconsistent this year and even a little bit last year, but more especially this year. So that's just the really question with him is he kind of at his peak, or is it just more of a technical issue that needs to be worked out, or maybe even a scheme issue or something like that where he wasn't a good fit for the scheme or something like that. But he'd be a guy, like, I think it'd be okay with the Packers taking a shot on the day three, and he could be a swing guy, playing tackle, playing guard, just offering depth. A guy who could, come in if there's an injury and play for a game or something like that, and just kind of hold you over for that game. But he's definitely, he can play in the NFL. It's just, like I said, the question is how much upside is there left in him?
True. I don't mind older prospects. Like we mentioned, I think prospects are gonna get older as we move along in the era of the NIL deals. So I mean, Julian's probably a little tad older than he should be, but still, what I don't have any issue with him. I mean, offensive linemen can play for years. I mean, even at 25. I mean, if he plays till 35, I mean, that's a win. I mean, at this point, we're in day three. I think Julian will probably be a fifth rounder. Maybe if somebody falls in love with him, maybe he's possibly sneaks into the fourth. And then when we're talking about day three picks, the whole idea of it is like make it to the end of your contract and then possibly get an extension. So if we get 6 years out of Julian Pearl, that's a win. whether he turns into a Pro Bowler or he's just a really good dude that maybe you have as a spot starter. That's a win for a fourth or a fifth rounder. So I think it's probably coaching. I mean, Illinois puts out some good guys.
especially
Uh,
defense.
yeah, especially defense, and that's probably because of Lovie Smith, who's no longer there. So we'll see how that continues. But Illinois puts out some good dudes every so often. So I'm not really going to slight Julian. He probably just needs an NFL coach to get him to the next level, and you might have something. You might have something there. He might challenge some guys better than we might think. All right, moving forward, we've got TCU's Brandon Coleman. Really long guy at 6'6". I think I have him at 330. He's versatile, plays tackle, can play guard, pretty athletic, uh, a little bit uh, a little bit lacking in technique, and that's probably where his projection is into day three, because he at this range, Brian, we're looking at guys who probably they have their calling card, and then they have the stuff they need to work on. And Brandon's got the athleticism, but there's a lot of technicality, little issues in his game that probably need to be cleaned up. What would you say?
Yeah, so I actually have the Senior Bowl numbers. He was 6'4", 316 at the Senior Bowl. But yeah, it's again another long dude. He was 34-inch arms at the Senior Bowl. I think he's kind of just an average athlete, not like a top tier athlete. It's probably why he's going to go day three. He has kind of an interesting backstory because he came from Germany. He came over from Germany. He was born in Germany. I think his parents were in the military or something like that. And then he went JUCO, and then obviously went to DCU. He's played left tackle. He's played left guard. So he's versatile. He can move around. So the Packers would like that, obviously. But he's been inconsistent this past year with his play in the pass pro. So that's something that needs to be looked at with as far as for the Packers. But he has, like I said, he has that versatility that they like. So he's a guy that could, well, I'm not even say could, I would say probably more than likely is on their board unless he does not test well today at the Senior Bowl. But he's a guy I like. I think he's got some potential. Maybe even could be a starting guard, if anything, at worst. But yeah, the potential's there as a day three guy.
Yeah, I've got him in the fifth and the sixth range. Yeah, I think the athleticism as a tackle is just kind of like ho hum, but as a guard, he could probably be one of the more athletic guards in the class. Not maybe top flight, but a solidly athletic guard. We just have to see how the combine shakes out. But swing tackles will always have value in this league if you can do a little bit of both. Especially adding that versatility, because sometimes you only can dress 46, and then if a guy goes down, it's like, well, who do we have? And you have a guy like Brandon Coleman, the Brandon Colemans of the world that can come in and just okay, whether it's a guard, whether it's a tackle, they can come in and play, and at least keep the drive going. So some inconsistency, throughout the year, and that's where that's what you pay NFL offensive line coaches to figure out. So there could be some projection here. Again, the Packers, shine at getting day three guys and turning them into Pro Bowlers. So there is hope, and I'm going to keep hope alive for Brandon Coleman and see how he does if he gets his name called.
Yep.
All right, so another guy, and probably in that range of the longest arms in this year's class is Walter Rouse out of Oklahoma. I have him at I believe about 6'5", 319. Again, borderline 36-inch arms. Very powerful. I don't really know how I would project him on a scheme wise. I I don't know if I want to say he's a gap guy or he's a zone guy. Um, he has some athleticism. I wouldn't say for a tackle, maybe not great athleticism, but like sufficient athleticism. So I don't know what if what scheme would suit him best. And if we've seen LaFleur, the Packers are not a pure outside zone team anymore. They've got some power concepts to boot as well. So Walter may have some versatility there. I just don't know. I just need to see more out of the testing. But if in the proper blocking scheme, if he's got just one guy to beat, I like him there. So I just have to kind of see more, but I'm definitely intrigued, Brian. I just need to see the tape a little bit more, and I need to see how he tests, and then maybe, I mean, he may actually possibly see himself drafted, over Tyler Guyton, just depending on how those two tests. How would you say?
Yeah, again, another big long guy, like you said. He was a Stanford transfer, and he's been left tackle at Stanford and obviously at Oklahoma. He started off really well at Stanford, but then he had some trouble. He played not so great. Then he transferred over to Oklahoma, played a little better in 2022 and 2023. But I think his athleticism is kind of middling. I think he's probably more of a right tackle in the NFL, even though he played left tackle. But he's a good run block. He's a solid run blocker, solid pass pro. I just think he's gonna have to move over to the right side. And like I said, because the athleticism is middling, the Packers may not be all that interested in him. But he can play in the NFL for sure. And I can see him being if they did draft him being maybe a swing backup tackle. On day 3, 5th, maybe 6th round.
I can see that. I mean, everybody doesn't have to be a left tackle. Could be like an emergency kind of guy. I mean, I said he's got the arms. I've got him at a little bit over 83 for the wingspan. So he can, if he can latch on to you, he's probably going to be okay. So it's probably just the testing, and we'll just see where we end up. I think he's somewhere on the board for the Packers. And at worst, I mean, he could just be a guard, project, and I'm okay with that. I mean, we need reserves all across the line, whether it's at tackle, whether it's at guard. I'd like him to work at right tackle, but I'm okay with possibly a guard, a guard only, transition. We just have to see where the testing takes us. And then obviously, guys always do a little bit better at their pro day, because they're a little bit more comfortable, familiar surroundings. The pressure is a little bit off. Once if you survive the combine, you typically do a little bit better at the pro day. Like, okay, I've done this before. Let me see what I can do better. So Guyton is definitely not Guyton, but Rouse is definitely a guy that the combine could boost his stock to where he could possibly be going from maybe a 6th round dude to maybe an early 5th, maybe even a late 4th round dude. All right, so again, getting to the back of the class, we've got Washington's Roger Rosengarten. Pretty good athletic tackle. I think he possibly may have a guard projection as well. Probably needs to get stronger for the NFL. What would you say, Brian?
Yeah, that's something he has struggled with in college. He was right tackle only there at Washington because of Troy Fontanu on the left side. He may be able to play left tackle in the NFL. But he's a good size and length. He's like 6'6". Where to go? 303 or something. 311. Sorry, or 6'5" and a half. 311. His arms are a touch short, but they're kind of within the Packers threshold area. 33 and an eighth, at least 33 and an eighth at the Senior Bowl. I haven't seen his combine length, and usually with guys, you see that when they measure at the Senior Bowl at the combine, they're usually like a little bit longer as far as the arms. Usually, not always, but usually. So he's probably within that range as far as the Packers' length. Yeah, but he's always kind of struggled with dealing with power and strength. It's something he still needs to work on. Obviously it's a technical issue, and then partially obviously he just needs to get some more bulk and strength in his lower body so he can stand those power rushers. But yeah, he can be a left. Like I said, he can play right tackle, possibly play left. So I could see him being on the Packers board. He's athletic enough. He's got his arm length, like I said, is kind of okay. So I could see him potentially being on their board.
Yeah, Rogers probably got a little bit more shorter arms than most of the guys we've covered. He's within range, but not the lanky guys that we've been talking about mostly in this year's class.
Right.
But yeah, strength is something he's going to have to work on. So give it at least 2 off seasons for he can get that strength added, and you may have a solid right tackle prospect. So another guy who's probably also needs to get into the weight room and is a little bit light as well is Missouri's Javon Foster. Has the athleticism. 34. I think I'm at maybe almost 34 and a half for the
35.
arm. 35. Okay, we got a solid 35 inch arm guy. But again, needs to go back to the weight room. Kind of sloppy on his footwork, which when you're playing tackle, when you're dealing with a good pass rusher, you can't get tied up on your feet. Your feet have to go where they need to go, so you can win in the leverage and also protect yourself against the bull rush. So Javon, I think probably is maybe sixth round possibly. If he can clean up the strength issues, put on a little bit more weight, and then also has to work on his footwork. Where would you place him, Brian?
I'm a lot higher on him than you are. I have him as like a day 2 guy, probably like 3rd round. He's like 6'5.5", 309. I think that his strength is okay. It could obviously get better. Like majority of college, offensive linemen, they always stand to add some strength and some bulk. But yeah, like I said, he was 309 at the Senior Bowl. We haven't, like we said, we haven't seen his combine numbers yet. He's got the frame to add weight. He's got the frame probably play at like 312, 315, something like that. And like we said, 35-inch arms. He's not an elite athlete, but I think he's still pretty good. He's definitely athletic enough to play left tackle in the NFL. He's just not going to be those. He's not going to go out there and run a 4.9 or a 5 flat or anything. He's probably like a 5.15 type guy, maybe 5.2. But he's got his feet are quick enough, and his main calling card is, like I said, his length, his aggressiveness. He plays hard, and he's been a left tackle for, I believe, he's a 3-year starter at Missouri, so he's got plenty of experience. And I think the thing that also that makes him a great fit for the Packers that people don't realize is he played in a very similar offense. They were very RPO based, very outside zone run type of offense. So it'd be a pretty seamless transition for him moving over to Green Bay. And I think, yeah, like I said, I think he'd be a great fit for, the future left tackle if they don't think Walker can be it, or even he could play right tackle if they want to move Tom into center.
You say 3rd round, I say 6th round. I meet you in the middle at 4. No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, mid 4. I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. We have our first disagreement, I guess we'll call it. So
big disagreement, I would say.
First big disagreement. So I want to see more bulk. So we'll see. Left tackle. I'll give him left tackle. I don't think he's right tackle only. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, another lesser known, unheralded offensive lineman, and that's TCU's Andrew Coker. Andrew is decent, I guess. Decent athlete. Technique is he does play with aggression, and I think that's where he wins. He's quick out of his stance. I think he has a good grasp of how to play the game. um, but he's still got some ways to go. Um, I wouldn't. I'd say he's probably better in the pass game than he is the running game. Um, I've seen him get beat a little bit more than I would care for against decent edge rushers. But these are things that can be coached up. Like I said, I don't think as far as like he's lacking in strength. I said I think he's a decent athlete. I just don't know how to properly project him, past maybe the 6th round. I think there's some definite cleanup that needs to happen, and then we just have to see what we have from there. This may be more of a guy that, you know, maybe you stash for 3-4 years, and maybe you have a solid person. Um, but I have him towards the back of the tackle class. Brian, you look like you're going to disagree.
No, actually, I don't know. I kind of agree. I'm not super high on him. He's got decent size. He's like almost 6'7", 6'6.5", 311, and he's got over 34, a little over 34-inch arms. But I don't like his athleticism. I think his feet are kind of okay, but overall athleticism, especially getting out and being able to block on the outside, being able to pull and doing the things that the Packers would probably ask him to do. I don't know if he could do it that well. But and he's, like I said, and he's just not that great of a run blocker for a right tackle. He's just okay. He's more of a pass pro guy. But I don't. Yeah, like I said, my question with him is mainly his athleticism.
Yeah, well, the combine is where Andrew's going to make his money. The tape is a little bad
Or
here
loses
and
money.
there. You know, 'cause we're here at this range again where players have their calling cards, and Andrew Coker, like, okay, this is, he's a pass pro guy, not so much of a run game guy. So and defenses pick up on that. You sub a guy in, for 3rd down, but then you take him out on 1st and 2nd. The defense is gonna, they're gonna, play accordingly. Okay, we're gonna stretch him right here. So uh, that can be fixed. That can be fixed. The athleticism, maybe not as much. Uh, Maybe a little bit more strength. I don't think he has terrible strength. Might help him clean up, handling the rushers. I didn't see anything necessarily terribly bad on footwork, but you know, sometimes you get in front of a new coach. They look at things like there's going to be a whole new makeover, and maybe that's what Andrew Coach. He needs a makeover. He's decent, but needs a makeover.
Yeah.
So I think he may be on the board for the Packers, but it may be back in the 7th.
Right. Probably.
All right, as we get ready to close out,
Yep.
we've got Texas's Christian Jones. I've got him at possibly 35-inch arms. Solid 6'5" dude. I got him at 318. The thing with Christian is he's probably more of he's probably the opposite of Andrew. He's maybe a run game guy, but not a pass game guy. So and that's kind of that's the way you don't want to be, because in this era of the NFL where it's a throw first league, you don't want to be the guy who can't protect the quarterback. That'll get you on the bench and possibly on the street sooner than later. So looking at Christian, projecting him like right out the gate, I'm looking at like this is like your big package dude. Like if you need a 6 offensive lineman, maybe special teams, field goal, whatever the case may be. That's where he's probably going to start to earn his living, and then if he can get better on the pass pro side of things, he might be able to etch out a role on an NFL roster. Anything different from you?
Not too different. He started out at Texas at a right tackle, then they moved him over to left tackle in 2021, I believe it was, and he struggled really badly. He was not good at left tackle, and then he moved him back to the right side, and he was better. So I think he's more of a right tackle only prospect. Maybe you can train him to play guard. I could probably see that. But yeah, he's got good size, like you said. And he's got 34 over almost 35-inch arms. So another, again, like we said, another long guy in this class. But yeah, I think he's probably like a 6th or 7th round type guy. You take, and then maybe you can. It probably better if in a zone or not zone. Better if in a gap or power type scheme, where you could play him at right tackle. If you play him in a zone, you probably want to put him at guard. Which so I don't know if the Packers would be all that interested in him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not for sure. This may be a guard conversion prospect where he can kind of get insulated from his deficiencies early on. So probably looking at maybe just a special teamer, a guy out there, on kickoff, or kick return rather, I would say. And then, field goal, maybe like the goal line, you need a 6, maybe 7th running back, I'm 7th running back, 6th, 7th offensive lineman, where the running back, the defense knows you're trying to punch it in, and you put Christian Jones maybe on that second, most outside spot to run it in. That's probably going to be where he edges a role out in the NFL. But when you're not a pass pro guy, he could possibly go undrafted because one thing that no NFL owner, GM, coach wants to see is their quarterback where he's falling and he can't get up. So we'll see how Christian Jones does in the NFL. Well, we've run through the gauntlet. This is a large class, it's a deep class. For anybody watching at home, there's probably going to be some jumping up and down on some players we didn't cover, but they will probably be a next episode as we move towards the interior offensive linemen. As a reminder, some of these guys are tackles in college, but they are guards and centers in the NFL.
Yep.
Whether it's a size thing, whether it's an athleticism thing, whether it's a technique thing, or it's all of those things.
Or length issue.
Or length, yep. Some of these guys will be interior offensive linemen in the NFL. So don't crucify us in the comments. Your favorite potential draftee is coming up sooner rather than later. Anything you want to touch on, Brian, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think me and you, we saw earlier that Troy Fontanu, sorry, I can't talk. He came in with 34-inch arms, just under 6'4" today earlier at the combine. We're gonna talk about him with the guards, but we still think he could play either tackle or guard, potentially at least. And just one little sleeper I did want to mention was Tylen Grable from UCF. He's kind of interesting guy, interesting story. Just real quick, he was a quarterback in high school. Went to Jacksonville State, was tight end, and then moved over to left tackle. He's 6'5", 309, and like 33 and a half inch arms. So he's a guy who could develop. You can take him on late day 3 and maybe develop into a potential starter on the left or the right side.
Yeah, Grable's had an interesting, you go from quarterback to tight end to offensive lineman. That's a lot of conversion going on. But I mean, he should at least have the mental part of the game right. If you don't got nothing else, you should know exactly what you should be doing. I mean, hell, you should know what the defensive lineman across from you is doing, based off of, that kind of experience. Yeah, we saw Troy.
Just before we started recording.
When you at just under 6'4", I'm guard only at that point. I barely want a 6'4" tackle.
I think the upside is higher at guard, but I think he can play tackle.
Like, if I had to,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. You make him show you can't play tackle type of thing, where you throw him in there tackle first, see if he does it. If he does it, awesome. If he can't, then just move inside the guard.
You got till the preseason, and that's it. But I'm not putting him in the regular season to tackle and trying to find out. I'll take Rashid all day over Troy at that point. And I love Rashid some games and I hate him others. But We'll see. We'll give him another off season. See
Yep.
what he learns. All right, folks, we're gonna get out of here. Stay tuned for the next episode as we touch on the interior offensive linemen, and go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.